Dora had never planned to stay long. The bus rattled down the winding hillside road, carrying her back to the village she had not visited in years. Through the dusty glass window she saw familiar ridges of rice fields, glistening after the morning rain. Coconut trees lined the paths like watchmen, and the air shimmered with heat even though the sun was barely above the horizon. She pressed her lips together, telling herself this trip was temporary, a simple errand: help her grandmother with the land papers, sell the property, and leave. But the moment the bus slowed near the terraced hill where the old prayer house stood, Dora froze. Something soft, strange, drifted across the breeze. It was the sound of laughter. Not just any laughter, but distinctly feminine, airy and bright, like wind chimes touched by invisible fingers. The sound rippled from the direction of the old sealed well, a ruin she half remembered from childhood stories. Her chest tightened. It must be the wind, she murmured to herself. She shook her head, collected her bag, and stepped off the bus onto the narrow road. At the family gate stood her grandmother, Sorry, a slim woman wrapped in a batik shawl. Her smile was warm, though her eyes held a kind of watchfulness. "You are too thin, Dora," Sorry said as she pulled her granddaughter into an embrace that smelled of lemongrass and clean laundry. Dora smiled faintly. "The city takes your weight and gives you bills." She meant it as a joke, but it came out flat. Together they walked into the compound. The wooden house leaned with age, but its porch still welcomed. Neighbors peeked from fences, curious about the girl who had left and returned with city polish. Chickens scattered across the path. The Kolkol Tower gonged in the distance, counting the hours like a heartbeat. That evening, Dora wandered into the back garden with a flashlight. The sky had darkened to indigo, stars peeking through scattered clouds. Crickets filled the silence with their endless rehearsals. From where she stood, she could see the outline of the old well through the gaps in the fence. Its mossy rim, its broken stones, its silence. Except, was it silent? She hesitated, then unlatched the small gate and stepped outside. The ground was damp from rain, soft beneath her sandals. She moved closer, careful not to approach the rim, remembering every childhood warning. Never stand close to an abandoned well. It was unsafe. The red ribbon fluttered faintly on the stones, though there was no wind. Dora's hand trembled as she raised the flashlight. The beam fell into darkness, swallowed instantly. She leaned a little forward, keeping her distance, and whispered, "Hello." Her voice fell into the shaft like a coin. For a moment there was only the plink of water far below. Then it came, bright, bell-like laughter rising back toward her, as if a woman stood just out of sight, laughing with delight. Dora gasped and staggered back. "Who's there?" Her flashlight wavered. The laughter returned, the same clear note, too close, too real to be wind. "Dora." Her grandmother's voice rang sharp from the gate. Sorry's figure was a dark outline against the lamplight of the house. "Don't linger there. It's dangerous." Dora's heart pounded. I heard. "Old stones make old sounds," Sorry cut in, firm. "Come inside." Dora obeyed. They walked back together, her grandmother's shawl brushing her arm. Just before she reached the porch, Dora heard the laughter again. Soft, almost playful, like a farewell. Sorry's grip tightened around her wrist. Inside, dinner was a quiet ritual. Rice, fried tempeh, sambal with too much chili. The kitchen bulb glowed as moths danced around it. Dora could not stop replaying the sound in her head. "Grandma," she tried again. "There's something in the well." Sorry sipped her tea slowly. There is something in everyone who listens to the night. Her tone was final. Dora bit her tongue. She didn't want to argue. Later, lying on a thin mattress in the front room, Dora tried to sleep. Gecko shadows darted across the ceiling. She counted her breaths, willing herself to drift away from questions. But sleep pulled her into a dream where the well was whole again, water rippling silver. On its surface appeared a woman's face, eyes kind, smile knowing. Her lips parted, and laughter like silver bells poured out. Dora woke with a start, the sound still ringing in her ears. The next morning, she decided to walk to the market. The sun rose bright, chasing mist off the fields. Vendors arranged chilies, onions, and bananas in piles. The air smelled of spices and morning sweat. Dara bought a few fruits, distracted. She nearly collided with Adi, carrying a toolbox and flashing the same grin he had worn when they were children. "Dara," he said, squinting playfully. "I thought the city swallowed you whole." "It spit me out for a week," she replied. "You back for the land papers?" She nodded. They talked easily, like no years had passed. Then Adi leaned closer. "Careful around the old well," he said casually. "Kids whisper it laughs at lies." Dara froze. "At lies? It's just a legend," he shrugged. "They say if you speak dishonestly, the well reacts with laughter. But really, the elders sealed it long ago for safety. Nobody should go near." Her skin prickled. She thought of last night, of the laugh that had answered her whisper. At noon, Dara helped her grandmother sort old trunks. They found scarves scented faintly of clove, bundles of yellowed letters, a cracked mirror. At the bottom of one chest lay the framed photo she had found earlier. A young woman, smiling shyly, a red ribbon woven into her braid. "Maya," Dara read aloud. "Who is she?" Her grandmother's hand paused over a bundle of linens. "A neighbor," she said too quickly. She had a laugh that could cool fevers. "And the ribbon? Sometimes a memory needs color." Her tone ended the subject. But Dara could not stop looking at the photo. The smile, the ribbon, the presence near the well, it all tied together like threads waiting to be pulled. That afternoon, Adi came to repair the roof. Dara sat on the step, the photo at her side. "Tell me a lie," she called up, half teasing. Adi laughed. "The city will make you happy." From the garden came a faint, unmistakable laugh, floating on the air. Dara and Adi locked eyes, both startled. He lowered his hammer. "Maybe don't play that game," he said seriously. Dara's stomach tightened. This was no child's dare. That evening, after the roof was mended, Dara returned to the garden with a bucket and rope. She set the bucket carefully on the stones, never stepping close to the rim. She lowered it into the well, rope rasping against moss. When the bucket reached water, she pulled it back slowly. As the bucket rose, it felt as if something tugged from below, a gentle resistance. When it surfaced, the water inside shimmered like a mirror. Dara peered at it, her reflection blurred and shifted. For a heartbeat, the face staring back was not her own, but the woman from the photograph. Red ribbon in her braid, lips curved into a playful smile. The water rippled. A laugh spilled upward, clear and bright. Dara dropped the bucket in shock. It struck the stones, spilling water across her feet. "Dara." Grandma Sari stood in the doorway, framed by kitchen light. "Come in." Her heart racing, Dara obeyed. Inside, she set the photograph on the table. "Who is Maya really?" she demanded. Sari closed her eyes. "She was my friend," she said softly. "The kind who made promises with laughter. One night she did not come home. The next morning, the well was sealed. And the village decided silence was safer than questions." Dara's pulse thudded. She realized the week she had planned, the quick signatures, the tidy exit, was already unraveling. The well had waited, and now it had chosen her to listen. The morning after the strange encounter, Dara brewed tea in the old kitchen. Steam curled upward as she poured into 2 cups and carried them to the veranda. Her grandmother, Sari, sat there already, staring into the distance as though the fields could answer questions that people would not. "I dreamed about her," Dara said quietly, setting a cup down. Sari's eyes flickered. "About who?" "Maya," Dara replied, voice almost reluctant. "She was standing in the water. Not drowning, not suffering, just waiting. Smiling. The same face from the photograph." Sari's fingers trembled around the porcelain. She sighed. "Dreams are the polite way the past knocks on our doors." Then why has the village kept the door locked all these years? Dora asked, a sharpness in her tone. The older woman closed her eyes, as if gathering decades into one breath. When I was your age, Maya and I were like two halves of the same shadow. She laughed at everything, even at the serious faces of the elders. People said her laughter could heal sadness. We promised each other that one day we would leave the village together. We even hid coins in a jar under the kitchen step. What happened? Dora leaned forward, desperate. One night she vanished, Sorry whispered. She did not return home. We searched the roads, the temple, the rice fields. Nothing. The next morning, the old well was sealed. We were told not to ask questions. Silence became the rule, because silence was safer than blame. Dora felt the words cut through her chest. Who sealed it? Your grandfather, Sorry answered, voice brittle. And others. They said wells keep secrets better than people. Dora looked down at her tea. The steam twisted like a question mark. But the laughter. Her grandmother's gaze was steady but full of sorrow. Some say it is Maya's spirit, laughing whenever people tell lies about her. Others say it is only the wind. But I hear it and remember our promise. Before Dora could press further, a motorbike coughed at the gate. Ardi arrived, balancing a basket wrapped in paper. Breakfast delivery, he announced with exaggerated cheer, revealing rice cakes and palm sugar. His eyes flicked to the photo of Maya that still lay on the table. His grin faltered for a moment, but he said nothing. After breakfast, Ardi climbed the roof again to fix the last stubborn tile. Dora sat below, unable to let the story rest. Why does the village pretend Maya never existed? She asked. Ardi adjusted a tile and sighed. Because people prefer legends to guilt. Legends let you sleep. Guilt keeps you awake. Dora tilted her head, staring at him. Do you believe the legend? About the well laughing at lies. I believe in honesty, he replied. And I believe the dead deserve better than whispers. At noon, Dora walked to the village hall to meet with Pak Jaya about the land sale. He spread out maps and forms, assuring her that the property had no disputes. Buyers were expected by the weekend. The paperwork was straightforward, efficient. Yet Dora found herself hesitating. Before leaving, she asked, Pak, do you remember Maya? The headman's pen froze mid-tap. His face smoothed into neutrality. We do not keep those records. Not in the books, Dora pressed softly. In your memory. He looked toward the window where sunlight made a neat square on the floor. People should be allowed to become old stories, he said finally. Not dragged into new questions. Outside, Dora's phone buzzed with a message from her ex-fiancé. Hope you're well. The village looks beautiful. Congrats on the land sale. The words were polished, detached. She slipped the phone back into her pocket, a door shutting without sound. Instead of heading straight home, Dora wandered toward the jackfruit tree Sorry had mentioned. The house beside it sagged under vines, windows hollow like tired eyes. On the dusty ground, children had drawn a hopscotch grid in chalk. Instead of numbers, the final square was drawn as a ribbon. She bent down. Who drew this? She asked a little girl nearby. My sister, the child said. She says if you reach the ribbon, you can wish for a laugh. What kind of laugh? Dora asked gently. The kind that forgives you, the girl answered before skipping away. The words followed Dora all the way back. At dusk, she carried an offering of jasmine, banana slices, and a thin thread of red yarn to the garden. She placed them on the grass near the sealed well, careful to stay back from the rim. I don't know who hurt you, she whispered. But I'm sorry for every lie that turned your laughter into a rumor. The air hushed. Then a sound rose, not bright laughter this time, but a low hum, like a song warming in a throat. It grew softer, almost coaxing. Dora felt it invite her. Fine, she said, pulse racing. A truth. I wanted to sell this land without asking my grandmother if she truly wanted that. I wanted to escape quickly. The hum brightened, a gentle approval. Another truth tumbled out. I'm afraid that if I stop running, the person I really am will catch me. And I don't know if I'll like her. The well answered with a tender laugh. Not mocking, but kind. Dora wiped her eyes, startled by the honesty she had never spoken aloud. A twig cracked behind her. She spun, heart leaping. Ardi stood at the fence, hat in hand. I brought something, he said awkwardly, lifting a round of sanded wood. A proper cover, so no one falls in. The well should stay sealed for safety. Together they lowered the cover, pressing it firmly into place. Better, Ardi said. But as they stepped away, a breeze stirred. The cover shifted a fraction, creaked, then settled again. From that seam rose a quick, mischievous laugh, as if someone inside found their effort amusing. Dora and Ardi exchanged uneasy glances. She's not ready to be covered, Ardi said, half smiling. She, Dora echoed. That's how everyone talks about it, he admitted. Giving it a pronoun makes it feel less frightening. That night, lamplight pooled over the kitchen table as Sari spoke more openly than ever before. Maya and I promised to leave together, she confessed. But when she vanished, I stayed. I let silence become my loyalty. Sometimes a locked door looks like respect. But perhaps it was only fear. Maybe the well is waiting for that promise to be spoken again, Dora said softly. Sari nodded, tears glinting. If the well laughs at lies, perhaps it also waits for truths. Promises are truths too. Outside, the moon lifted above the banyan tree. The sealed well seemed to breathe, cover shifting slightly in the breeze. Dora lay awake long after, realizing her visit had changed shape. It was no longer about documents and departures. It was about promises, broken, waiting, ready to be kept. By the third day, Dora sensed the village was adjusting itself around her curiosity the way vines wrap around a fence, leaning closer yet pretending not to notice. Conversations stopped when she approached. Neighbors greeted politely but quickly returned to their chores. Children whispered and darted away, as though her presence made the old stories come alive again. At breakfast, Grandma Sari placed a plate of fried cassava before her. Eat, she said firmly, though she herself barely touched her tea. Dara pushed the food around. Grandma, if Maya was your best friend, don't you want people to remember her? Sari's eyes, usually so gentle, turned sharp. Not if remembering keeps reopening wounds. But what if forgetting is the real wound? Dara asked. Before Sari could answer, footsteps sounded on the veranda. Ardi appeared, his shirt streaked with sawdust, toolbox in hand. Morning, he greeted, too cheerful. I've come to fix that stubborn front door. Sari excused herself to the kitchen, leaving Dara and Ardi alone. You've stirred the water, Ardi said quietly as he knelt by the doorframe. Is that bad? Dara asked. In a village like this, truth is like rain. It makes the ground fertile but also floods the roads. Dara hugged her knees, restless. I don't want to accuse anyone. I just want to know what really happened. Ardi looked up. That's enough to scare people. They've lived with a legend. A legend doesn't demand responsibility. A truth might. That evening, the whole village gathered in the temple courtyard for a shadow puppet play. The Dolong's voice rose and fell, shaping silhouettes of heroes and demons on the cloth screen. Children sat cross-legged, transfixed. Dara sat between Sari and Ardi, munching roasted peanuts. When a heroine laughed in defiance at a monster, Dara noticed the audience stir. Some looked toward the direction of the well, even though it was far away. She caught her breath. Even here, joy carried an echo of Maya. During the intermission, a tall woman in a blue kabaya approached. You're Sari's granddaughter, she said, not as a question. Yes, Dara answered. I am Kartika, the woman continued. My brother once courted Maya. He gave her a ribbon from the city. Red, like in the magazines. Dara felt the photo in her memory. Did they marry? No, Kartika said softly. He left to work in Surabaya. A month later, Maya disappeared. People like puzzles more than blame. Blame forces choices. Choices? Dara asked. Whom to forgive? Whom to accuse? Both are dangerous. Kartika's voice shook. Then she turned back toward the play, leaving Dara with more questions than answers. After the performance, Dara walked the long way home with Adi. Fireflies blinked across the rice fields. The night smelled of damp grass. What if the well isn't a ghost at all? She asked. What if it's a mirror? It laughs at lies to force us to tell the truth. That would still be frightening, Adi said gently. People like their rehearsed stories. I have rehearsed versions too, Dara admitted. The one who is fine, the one who is busy, the one who pretends she's never hurt. But none of them know how to listen to a well. They reached the garden fence. The wooden cover sat firmly on the old stones. Dara hesitated, then slid it aside just a little, careful not to go near the edge. Cool air drifted upward. If you're listening, Dara whispered, I want to ask questions without turning people into suspects. For a moment, silence. Then a laugh, light, bell-like, approving yet warning at once. Let's try something, Adi said suddenly. He stepped closer but kept a safe distance. My truth. I've liked you since we were 12, when you outran me in the rice field race. I pretend I don't because it feels safer to survive than to hope. The well did not laugh. It hummed, low and sweet, as if saying thank you. Dara's throat tightened. My truth, she whispered. I want to stop running, but I'm afraid of what will catch up to me. The well answered with the softest chime, a hush like curtains before a stage rises. Adi smiled faintly. See, even stones want honesty. Footsteps approached along the path. Pak Jaya, the headman, emerged from the shadows, humming the same tune from the puppet play. He stopped when he saw them. Dangerous to linger near old stones at night, he said lightly. People will talk. Let them, Dara replied, surprising herself with her boldness. Pak Jaya studied her, his expression carefully arranged. The well is sealed for safety. Do not forget that. Then he turned and disappeared into the night. The next day, Dara visited the Warung run by Businta, who sold everything from batteries to gossip. She asked carefully, Do you remember Maya's last day? Businta's face softened. She bought sugar, eggs, and a ribbon. She said she was baking a cake for a goodbye that might become a beginning. She hugged me tightly. That night, someone saw the headman's son near the jackfruit tree. The headman then was? Dara began. My uncle, Businta said with a bitter smile. We don't choose our families. We choose our courage. Was Maya in love with him? Adi asked gently. No, Businta said. Maya was in love with freedom. That makes some men cruel. The word cruel landed heavily in the air. Did anyone confront him? Dara asked. People asked softly, Businta said. He answered loudly. And time passed. That's how many stories end here, tidily, without truth. That afternoon, Dara knocked on the headman's door. Pak Jaya opened it, eyes wary. You shouldn't dig up graves, he said before she spoke. I'm not looking for a body, Dara replied steadily. I'm looking for a sentence. He sighed. My father was headman then. They said he was seen at the jackfruit tree. He denied it. Said he was at the hall locking the cash box. People wanted to believe him. The well laughed that same week, and they called it proof of innocence. He paused. But a well laughs at lies. Denials can be lies too. Do you think he hurt her? Dara asked. I think he used power like a coat and never cared who shivered, Jaya said quietly. I think Maya ran to avoid a trap, and fear pushed her steps. And the village preferred a ghost story to a confession. Dara's breath trembled. Then the well has been correcting us all this time. Maybe, Jaya said. But stones cannot sign apologies. People must. That night, Dora placed the red ribbon she had found back on the sealed cover. I'm sorry, she whispered. Not for what I did, but for what we didn't do. A laugh rose, grateful, like a bell rung once after a long silence. Then a hum followed, carrying 3 faint words. One more truth. Dora shivered. She understood. Some promises must be spoken aloud to count. She turned toward the house, toward her grandmother, toward the decision that could no longer be delayed. The well, patient as water, waited. The 4th morning arrived heavy with clouds. By noon, the sky darkened, and rain spilled across the village in sudden sheets. It hammered the tin roof like 1,000 impatient fingers, flooding the courtyard, bending the banana trees. Dora and her grandmother pulled the laundry inside, laughter and worry mingling as they fought the wind. Good, Grandma Sorry said when the shutters were latched and the lamps lit. Rain makes the well speak more clearly. Dora shivered at the phrasing. Speak more clearly. What did the water remember that people refused to admit? They brewed ginger tea, the air thick with steam and spice. The sound of rain filled the house until every silence seemed too loud. Then a knock came at the door, and Ardi entered, dripping under a flimsy poncho. He carried a jar of fried peanuts like an offering. Emergency rations, he joked, shaking droplets onto the floor. The storm softened after an hour, turning into a steady curtain of drizzle. The garden glistened, every leaf jeweled with water. Together, the 3 of them stepped onto the veranda. Dora's eyes were drawn, as always, to the old sealed well. The round wooden cover gleamed dark with rain. Come, Sorry said softly. If you wish to listen, do it now. Dora hesitated. Then, with Ardi and Sorry beside her, she walked into the garden. They approached cautiously, never stepping close. Ardi lifted the cover just a fraction so they could hear, then steadied it firmly in place again. Safety first, always sealed. From the depths rose not silence but a rhythm. Rain dripped against stone, but the pattern was too deliberate. 3 quick beats, a pause, then 2. Again, like a coded knock. It's speaking, Dora whispered. The rhythm grew into a hum, then into words shaped by the fall of water itself. The sound was faint but unmistakable. Ribbon. Promise. Witness. Dora's skin prickled. Who was the witness? She asked aloud. The well answered not with words but with an image that burst into her mind, a memory not hers. Maya under the jackfruit tree, red ribbon bright against her dark hair. A man's shadow nearby, a lantern swaying. Her laughter was bold, defiant, a shield against fear. Then rain, slippery ground, 1 step backward too far, into darkness. Dora gasped and grabbed Ardi's arm. What did you see? He asked quickly. She wasn't attacked. But she wasn't safe either. Fear cornered her. She stepped back, and the night swallowed her. Sorry's hand flew to her mouth. Tears slid down her cheeks. We promised to leave together, she whispered. But I stayed silent when she was gone. I let silence become my loyalty. I thought it was respect, but it was fear. Ardi's voice was steady. You were young. The village should have spoken. You should not have carried this alone. The hum from the well deepened, almost like agreement. Dora pressed her palms together, heart aching. If the well corrects lies, can it also heal truths? Can we make it right? The laugh that rose was unlike the others. Not mischievous, not mocking. It was hopeful, fragile, like someone saying yes, but gently. They returned to the veranda. Rain eased into mist. Birds began testing their voices in the wet air. Dora felt clarity sharpening inside her. We can't keep this as a secret, she said firmly. But we also can't turn it into a trial. We need something honest. Something kind. What do you suggest? Ardi asked. A gathering, Dora said. A memorial. Instead of a buyer's visit this weekend, We invite the village to remember Maya, not to accuse, to honor her name, to tell the truth in gentle voices. Sorry looked at her with wide, wet eyes. Yes, she whispered. Yes, that is what we should have done long ago. Ardi nodded, already thinking practically. We'll need chairs, food, music, perhaps. If we make it a little festive, people won't be afraid to come. Gamelan, Sorry said suddenly. Maya loved gamelan. She said its echo sounded like the earth breathing. Then gamelan it is, Ardi smiled. That night, Dara wrote invitations with neat, deliberate strokes. A gathering for remembering and setting right. She slipped one under Bu Kartika's door, another under Bu Sinta's. She pinned one on the board at the Warung, where notices of weddings and lost goats were usually found. Each invitation carried the same line. Not a trial. Not an accusation. Only a remembering. On her way back, lantern in hand, she passed the jackfruit tree. Rain dripped from its branches, heavy and slow. She whispered, "We will speak your name, Maya. We will set it right." The branches rustled though no wind passed. She felt a presence not threatening but relieved, like someone finally exhaling after years. At home, Dora found Sorry sitting with the photograph of Maya. "She looks so alive," Dora murmured. "She was alive in ways most people never dared," Sorry said softly. She laughed at rules, at fear, at small cages. "I wanted to be like her. But I was the one who stayed." "You kept her memory," Dora said gently. "Now you'll share it. That's also courage." Sorry touched her hand. "Thank you, Dora. You are more like her than you know." The compliment warmed and frightened Dora at once. In bed that night, she could not sleep. Gecko shadows played across the ceiling. She thought of Maya's laughter, of Ardi's quiet honesty, of her grandmother's burden of silence. The storm outside had washed the air clean, but inside Dora's chest storms still brewed. Then she heard it, the softest hum from the garden. Not loud, not calling. Just a steady note, like a lullaby sung from far away. It seeped into her, not frightening but soothing. For the first time in years, Dora felt her body unclench. She closed her eyes and let the hum carry her into dreams where promises were kept, where laughter was not a ghost but a gift. The next morning, sunlight broke clear and brilliant. The village looked freshly painted, roofs shining, paths dark and damp. Children played in puddles, their laughter light and harmless. From the garden, the sealed well sat quietly under its wooden cover, no longer ominous but waiting, patient as always. Dora walked to it with a flower in hand. She placed the bloom carefully on the cover and whispered, "We heard you. We understand. This time, we will not be silent." The breeze lifted, gentle. The cover creaked just slightly, like acknowledgement. For the first time, Dora did not feel fear. She felt partnership. The well was not a monster. It was a witness, holding memory until people were ready to carry it themselves. And now, finally, they were. Saturday arrived with skies so bright it felt as though the heavens themselves had decided to witness what the village had hidden for decades. The rain had scrubbed every roof clean. The soil smelled rich and alive, and the jackfruit tree outside the old house swayed in a gentle breeze. By mid-morning, villagers began to gather. Some came out of curiosity, others out of respect, and a few perhaps out of guilt. They carried baskets of flowers, trays of snacks, and folded chairs. The youth gamelan group arrived with their instruments, tuning soft notes that shimmered in the air like drops of gold. Dora stood in the garden with Ardi and Sorry. Together they placed a small wooden plaque on a stand beside the sealed well. Its words were simple. Maya, 1987. Beloved, brave. Her laughter reminded us of truth. The plaque was not grand, but its honesty gave it weight heavier than stone. Children ran around, chalking shapes on the path. Hearts, ribbons, flowers, while adults arranged chairs in a circle instead of rows. Dora had insisted on this. Rows created spectators. A circle created participants. When everyone had settled, Dora stepped forward. Her voice trembled at first but grew stronger as she spoke. Thank you for coming. We are not here to accuse. We are not here to dig up blame. We are here to give a name back to someone who was turned into a whisper. Maya was not only a story. She was a friend, a daughter, a woman who laughed like bells in the wind. Today, we remember her with kindness, not silence. The crowd shifted uneasily at first. Faces were cautious, but as Dora's words softened, so did their expressions. Sari stood next, holding the photograph of Maya with the red ribbon in her braid. I promised to leave this village with her, she confessed. Her voice cracked but carried. But when she was gone, I stayed. I thought silence was loyalty. I thought forgetting was respect. But forgetting is not respect. It is fear. Today I keep my promise by speaking her name aloud. Her tears fell freely. No one mocked. A few others wept quietly with her. Bukartika came forward, her hands clutching a cake. My brother once gave Maya this ribbon, she said, placing a bright strip of cloth on the plaque. He admired her spirit. But admiration is not the same as protection. When she needed courage, none of us stood beside her. I cannot change that. But I can place this here and say, I am sorry. The words seemed to loosen the air. People began to lean closer, listening, willing themselves to take part. Then, slowly, Pak Jaya, the headman, stepped into the circle. His face was bare of authority. He removed his hat, holding it to his chest. My father was headman when Maya disappeared. He preferred tidy endings to brave middles. He denied questions. And the village let denial replace truth. I carry his name, but I will not carry his silence. I say to you all, we failed Maya. For that, I am deeply sorry. The silence that followed was heavy but not hostile. It was the silence of recognition. A silence ready to shift into something new. And then it came, the sound they had all half feared, half expected. From beneath the sealed wooden cover of the well rose a laugh. Clear, bright, playful. Not mocking, not eerie, but full of release. The children clapped instinctively, their eyes wide with delight. Adults smiled through tears. Some looked skyward, as if the sound were permission to breathe again. The gamelan group struck a gentle chord, their metallic tones ringing like sunlight on water. Dora felt her whole body shiver, not with fear, but with completion. She raised her hands. Listen carefully. That is not a ghost. That is the sound of memory being set free. The well remains sealed. It is dangerous in real life, and it will stay closed forever. But its story is open now, and it belongs to all of us. The villagers nodded. Several approached to place offerings at the plaque. Flowers, small coins, even poems scribbled on scraps of paper. Children laid chalk drawings of ribbons at the base. Each gift was less about superstition and more about truth. When the last villager had spoken, the circle lingered. People stayed not out of obligation, but because they wanted to share stories. Someone remembered how Maya once danced barefoot in the rain. Another recalled her voice leading songs at harvest festivals. Piece by piece, she became real again. Not a legend, not a rumor, but a person. As the gathering wound down, Adi brought chairs back into stacks. He looked at Dara, his expression soft but steady. You changed the ending, he said quietly. No, Dara replied, watching the plaque shine in the late afternoon sun. We gave it a middle. Endings can wait. That evening, after everyone left, the garden was still. Lanterns swayed above the jackfruit tree. The offerings lay scattered with petals, ribbon, and scraps of paper glowing under moonlight. The sealed well stood quiet, as if satisfied. Dora and Sori sat on the steps with cups of warm tea. Sori touched Dora's hand. You gave me courage I had lost. You gave Maya her laughter back. For that, I thank you. Dara smiled through tears. It wasn't me. It was all of us, finally speaking together. Later, Dora walked alone to the well. She placed her palm gently on the wooden cover. "Thank you," she whispered. "Not for haunting us, but for correcting us. For refusing to let us lie." From beneath, faint and soft, came a hum, not laughter this time, but something like contentment. A sound that felt like closure. Weeks passed. The story of Maya stopped being a rumor and became part of the village's living memory. Children no longer dared each other near the well. Instead, they were taught, firmly, that the well was sealed for safety and always would be. But when they played hopscotch, they drew ribbons in chalk to honor her. The gamelan group created a new piece, a song that began with a low hum and ended with bright, ringing notes. Maya's song, they called it. It was played at weddings, at harvest festivals, at times when honesty mattered. Dora decided not to sell the house. She stayed, slowly learning the rhythm of village life again. With Ardi, she discovered the quiet choreography of staying put, repairing roofs, planting herbs, laughing over mistakes. They spoke honestly always, because they had learned what silence could cost. At night, sometimes, when the breeze shifted just so, Dora thought she heard a faint ripple of laughter from the sealed well. Not haunting, not demanding. Just a gentle sound, like a friend reminding her to live honestly. And each time she heard it, Dora smiled. Because she knew that finally, after so many years, Maya's laughter had found its right place. Not trapped in stone, but alive in the hearts of everyone who remembered her with truth.